All right, so picking up where we left off.
Welcome
Well,
back.
actually, let's move on. What? So besides the brown lady, when it comes to paranormal, like where do you want to go with this? Okay, so you said you wanted to record in houses and like,
Yeah, so there are several locations around the city where I live. There is, I want to go to, okay, first off, I want to go to some of the famous places, and then there's some that are just kind of local famous, and there's some that are around here. There's one where it's a leather store, but I live kind of in the Midwest here, and it used to be a place where the cowboys would come and pay a little money to dance with the ladies. And there were these two sisters that were twins, and um, one of them had met unfortunate circumstances and died, and the twin went up into the top floor and hung herself in the rafters. And it said that they still haunt that building. And so, even though it's a big leather store with this huge floor, it said that those ghosts still, those ladies still dance downstairs. Um,
And
and
once
they
a
say
whore,
that,
always a whore.
that's the worst afterlife ever.
yeah,
To be honest, man, what the
they're
fuck?
dancing, they're dancers. Okay,
All
I don't
right.
want
we're
to.
gonna
I
keep
don't want
this.
to die in a
Keep this.
kitchen and have to fucking cook hamburgers the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And then you can't even
Well,
eat them. That's the worst part.
there's
Look at that
places
prep
like
list.
there's places like that that I want to visit. You've got the Witch's Cave out in Tennessee. That's supposed to be very, very, very popular with the hauntings. Um, of course, there's some of the houses up on Long Island. Uh, there are some of the battlefields from the
Now,
Civil War that are considered haunted.
that's exactly what I was going to ask you. When I think of all this stuff, the first thing I usually think of is like, okay, so I get it. Some traumatic thing happened. There's a murder scene and someone's left behind. They become a ghost. I'm pretty sure that a lot of war was way more traumatic. Wouldn't there be like just
Yes,
battlefields full of
yes.
unhappy soldiers and
They say that the Gettysburg battlefield has some soldiers that walk there, and yes, some battlefields do have hauntings, and those are things that you have to, of course, take with a grain of salt. But go out there and take a look. I'm gonna bring my camera. I don't know if my camera has the right settings to film ghosts. I got to double check on the manufacturer's warranty, but if it does, we can we
what do
can
you
see
need
what happens.
an echo? They call it there's like a stupid name for it.
Yeah, they've got names. I
They got
never actually
names.
looked into it because I don't buy into it. Um, but there are other places like Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia. It's a museum now, but it was considered one of the most haunted places in the world. There's reports of ghostly figures, sounds, and unexplained phenomenon that go all the way back to when the place was open, and they still happen today. So I once I get a little more freedom with work, I intend to visit some of these places.
I think Rob, you had mentioned it yesterday. We were talking about Alcatraz. Very similar.
Oh
There's
yeah.
always some sort of story.
Yeah,
But now, okay, all of these stories are either 1800s, 1900s. How come we don't get like
17.
something that happened like 3 years ago? Like some
There
guy
is, there
dressed in
is
like
there.
he's got a phone, like his ghost, and he's like swiping TikTok
Oh,
on his phone.
give me 1 second. I'll pull it up. There is a video. There was a car crash a couple of years ago, and a woman had died in the car. They brought her car to a junkyard, and in the junkyard camera, you can see what looks like a woman coming out of the car, walking around, and then just disappearing. I've watched this video several times. I don't know how to explain it, but
Yeah.
it will give you it'll make your hairs on your arm like stand up.
Again,
It's a great video.
I go back to echoes. Like it seems like maybe it's like a time and space like recording, and like somehow particles aligned. Maybe this explains dark matter. Maybe this explains dark energy. And we're over here
Um,
calling them ghosts, and scientists are like, "Holy shit, it's been in front of us for fucking 300 years, right?" Like,
well, a lot of times when you look at like dark matter right now, I think that goes into a totally different subject because dark matter itself is more of how do I explain this?
well, because it doesn't react with anything.
It
So,
doesn't,
Right.
but
right.
here's the thing: if you start looking at the planets have a gravitational pull, and if you look at it, the bigger and heavier the planet, the stronger the gravitational pull. And there are experiments where they've taken like this rubber mat and suspended it and put these balls on it, and it kind of did the same gravitational type pull that happens in space. So they feel right now, this part of the theory is that dark matter is there, and that's what the planets are sitting in, causing gravitational pull. But they're still working on that. But they feel that dark matter is what's in between the planets and everything like that, and which causes gravity. Because while those planets are sitting on that in the dark matter, it's causing a bend in it, which causes gravity, where it'll bend and move things with a gravitational force. So that's where they talk about what dark matter might be. Now,
Yeah.
as far as ghosts go, oh boy, I don't even know where to get to.
I don't know. I was just throwing some shit out there. Like
Yeah.
at this point, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter what you say. Everyone could have an opinion or throw an idea. And then, one day, that's how premonitions start. You get those, I can tell the future. And then some, if you say enough, everyone is going to be right eventually. Like, so,
Yeah.
like you make enough premonitions and you'll get it right.
Well, which brings me to Nostradamus,
Yeah.
right? Hold on. I'm trying to look up the junkyard ghost. I sent you the video, so when you get a chance, take a look at that. But I was trying to find the actual story. 2017. There it is. It happened in 2017. So, I mean, I don't know if it's real or authentic or anything like that. I'm not a specialist, but I tell you what, and you look at it and you look at it with that point of there was a horrific car accident, and the car that she died in was at the junkyard, and then you see a woman walking through, but it's only from one angle of the junkyard camera, where there's 4 cameras, but you can only see her from the one angle, so you know that she's not a real woman there. But it definitely does make you think.
It
The
does, but
only
it also makes me think that that's like some sort of technical error or something. Like it could be like a tiny speck of dust that is causing something that we now form into what we see. I have to look at the
Well,
video. I'm not gonna.
yeah, watch the video. It's not dust. That's a person walking.
And I'll add the video obviously to the
Okay.
cast on YouTube, and it adds reference. But
Yeah,
it's tough, man. I
March
mean,
March.
even the place I work at, I don't mention where I work. We try not to, just for reasons. Plus NDAs and all that.
Because
But
the paparazzi, you don't want them just everybody there taking pictures of all these
yeah,
while you're working.
right. But
It's
even the place I work, they say the same thing. Like this ghost, and I'm like, I drive, and I work a night shift, and I do nothing but drive around at night, like in darkness. And I have never ever seen anything I could not explain. And they will swear by the ghosts and swear by this, and it's like because you want to believe. Now, I always used to think that maybe ghosts don't appear to people that don't want to believe, that are
like
just
Santa.
like inherently skeptical, or there's like some kind of blocker in your brain that prevents a certain amount. I kind of chalk it up to like hallucinations from like mushroom psilocybin or LSD. Like it opens up parts of our brain that I think everyone should absolutely like experience once in their life, because in a controlled situation where it's safe and good, it is a good thing. It makes people think different, aware of different like situations. Everything changes. So I'm thinking like maybe it has something to
I'm
do
a,
with it.
I'm afraid of how I think now. I'd hate to see how I think on mushrooms or something.
I'm
No,
telling
it's
you,
not. It's not like that.
it's not what you
Oh,
think. It really
No.
isn't. But it also depends on the situation. I mean, I've done them over a handful of times in my life, and there was one or two that were less desirable than others. But if you put yourself in a position, in a place, in a safe environment, and you're ready mentally as well as physically, it's fine. It really is. It's absolutely one of the safest ways to escape your brain while still being in it. It's like opening doors. I always look at it as opening a door that I didn't even know was there, you know.
yeah.
But
I mean,
I like
it
to
is
think that
interesting.
somehow it has something to do with things. I don't know. It's crazy. I mean,
We
who
can
cares?
we can bring that up on another uh show where we talk about, it'd be like that other guy. I'm not going to mention the most famous podcast where he talks about doing that stuff, but
Oh, I've heard all of it.
Yeah. But
Yeah, he loves the ayahuasca and
well, that's what we could do is on that show we'll all just take some of the mushrooms and then have a discussion.
it would
and
be
now
good.
that
Good.
I've never done that. That would be really weird. Holy crap, would that be strange, man?
Yeah, I think so.
right? I don't know, because that, like I
Not
said,
really.
situational. Whenever I've done it, it's been outdoors, and you try to like you want to be free. When you feel trapped in a place, like if I would give you an example. If I was on mushrooms right now, I would have already done this. Right? Like I would have felt trapped in this little box that you see me in. And I know I'm in the box, and you kind of like, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a mind trap, but that's me personally. Everyone's different, you know.
Yeah.
But the only reason I mentioned it is because I feel like maybe there is something to do with the hallucinogenics, and that's why I mentioned both psilocybin and LSD, because in a controlled way, LSD can be just the same, even though I find psilocybin and mushrooms safer because it's more natural and controllable. But it opens up, and most people say the same thing. They experience different things, but they're generally going to say the same things.
Yeah.
You don't see
I
flying elephants, that's for sure.
No, you don't see.
You don't. There's no like. Actually, we went to our I don't mention names too much unless they're on the show, but Jingles' college back in the day, and we took some right before we got there, and I'm in the dorm room, and you're looking at the posters, and oh yeah, like here's some of the Grateful Dead posters and the Blacklight posters. They were swirling and moving and waving, and waterfalls that were moving, and they weren't, but
Yeah, but that would be cool.
yeah, it was fucking interesting. You're like, wow, this little tiny room became way more fucking fun.
But but mentally, you're in complete control.
You are in control, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like
Well,
hypnotism. Like people are like, oh, they were hypnotized. You can't do anything when people are hypnotized that you wouldn't have done already.
right. Like when you're really drunk, you're not in control.
Well, yeah, yeah,
But yeah, being all wasted on vodka, you're not in
and
control.
that's
This you're
fucking legal.
completely, yeah, your thoughts are your own.
Yeah. But
So
it is.
on that note, talking about seeing things, um, I want to take a little step back a little bit further in time and discuss some of our primal thoughts.
Dinosaurs?
Now,
No,
actually, about that time. So, when we see things, we look at a shadow, we look at in the darkness, or we look at that smoke, we see faces. Now, if you look at primitive man and primal man, back, and I'll joke and say when they were hunting dinosaurs, but the Flintstones didn't exist. But
Please, enough people
primal,
already believe that there were people with dinosaurs. We don't need to
yeah.
help
So,
that cause.
yes,
okay,
and
so
the Flintstones did exist.
Right, yeah.
yes,
But
they did.
anyway.
We've got video evidence of it. Absolutely. So I've watched it when I was a kid. So humans, in their head, if they didn't see that tiger in the bushes, or the gorilla that would eat them, or the animals that would eat them, they didn't see it and panic and run, they got eaten. And then the gene and the thing that causes us to see faces where there's no faces, but just to be more aware that there's something out there, was passed down, and it stays in us, and it's strong. And because the people who didn't see it got eaten. So
Yeah.
we now see it, and that could be part of it also, where we look into that smoke or that smudge and we see a face in it, because
Yeah.
one, we want to, and two, our brains are wired that way.
Yeah.
It's called pareidolia.
We,
No, it is. Like when you see
Did
things
you
in the
just make
clouds.
that up?
No, look it up.
That's a funny word.
Pareidolia.
Paranoia.
Pareidolia. Like when you see things in cloud, like a face in the clouds, that's what it's called.
Isn't that a flower? No, that's a gladiolia. We talked about it once before when I had mentioned that when I said, like back in the day, obviously the lion, the sound in the bush was a lion. But now, if you fast forward that to nowadays, like we grew up in New York, all of us did. Like if you
Yeah.
go to the city and there's a dark alley, that dark alley is the bush and the lion, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It really is like, you're kind of like, I gotta go that way. It's a lot shorter, but I'm gonna watch my back. That's pretty much the same thing. I think we just divert it, but we still hold on to these old world thought process that I think is irrelevant to a large degree. Look
Well,
what they call
but
chat
modern
GPT.
day. Say again.
No, I was just gonna say what they like when chat GPT and you use it and it tells you a lie or a story, they call it hallucinating, right? the computer can't lie, but they have to call it something because we know it's not real. So they call it hallucinating. So at that point, it's like, well, when you say about a person, we're like, you're a liar. Like, but no, but lie has intent behind it. If this person really believes this, that's not a lie. That's why,
They're just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, there are some people who truly believe that they've seen ghosts. There are people who truly believe that they speak with spirits. And I want to believe, and I believe them that they believe it, and I listen and I take it because sometimes there's advice in with it, and no matter where it comes from, you can always learn from someone.
oh yeah,
But
that's for sure.
I, and there are people who claim to have seen aliens, and they truly believe
Yeah.
that they've witnessed aliens. That's why I have alien stuff on my page. I have ghost stuff. I have serial killer stuff, and um, because there are people out there who believe and don't want to say, who believe and don't have anywhere to put that outlet. And leave a comment over here. We'll chat with you. So I'm good with that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that's kind of like why we have the podcast to begin with. Not only because we talk a lot of shit and just want to, hear ourselves speak, but everyone deserves a voice, and we've been given this opportunity. We always had it, but now it's been so easy for everyone to just get out there, and you can't be the only one thinking the thought in your head. You can't. You're just not. It's impossible. Someone else is thinking something very much the same or similar, if not exactly the same.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I'm not the only one, and then you feel less crazy.
Yeah, or more crazy because that person's crazy
Well,
too, and you're like, oh, I don't know.
Semantics goes either way.
Yeah.
But and I apologize. I don't know if you can hear the planes go over when I
No.
mute myself. You can't.
Nope.
Okay. Sometimes I'm outside and we live by the airport here in Florida, and let me tell you, there's a lot of fucking planes in Florida. Holy
Yep.
crap.
Oh, so we know you live in Florida. We're going to narrow this down and find out where you work
Oh,
so you can see the ghosts.
I really yeah. Don't have to pay to get in, so let them do it. I don't care.
Actually, Key West and down in Key West, Florida, there's a lot of suspiciously haunted stuff down there. And Damon, I'm sure you probably heard of this. Robert the Doll.
Well, go on. What about it?
Have you ever heard of Robert the Doll? It's this,
Robert the Doll. Oh, Robert the Doll. Yes.
Yeah.
I thought you said the doll, and I'm like,
No.
hold on. Who?
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about a designer.
No, he's he's down here in Key West in like this little museum. You can go visit him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Wait,
cool. I
they
didn't know
stuffed
that.
him? Is he alive? Wait.
No,
No,
is he
he's a
alive?
doll. He's a haunted doll. Like,
Oh, like an actual fucking doll.
Yes,
I thought the
Google him
guy's
real quick.
name was Robert Doll.
No,
Like,
Robert.
no, that's what
His
I
name
thought he
is
was talking about
Robert.
before.
Yeah.
Right, like
It's,
Chucky. So he's got like a little knife in his
more
hand.
like,
No, it's
what's her
it's
name?
creepier than that.
I
Yes.
think
Well, okay. The thing is, if you want to take a picture with the doll, you have to ask the doll permission, and then you take a picture with it. If you don't ask permission to take a picture with the doll, you just take a picture with it, like this weird shit happens to you. Like you'll be walking in your kitchen and the clock will fall and hit you on top of the head or something like that, right, Damon? It kind of goes something like that.
Well, you've got Annabelle also. That's the one I was trying to think of. I'm like, and Annabelle's another haunted doll that you can go and they won't let you see it, but you can look at pictures. She was a Raggedy Ann doll that what do you call them? Now I can't remember their names.
Raggedy Ann and Andy.
No, the people who did the haunting investigation. Because they also did the Amityville Horrors. They did the Conjuring stuff, and Ed and Lorraine Warren. That's it. I read a lot of their books. Ed and Lorraine Warren. They have it in their collection. They won't let you see it because it's so haunted, but you can find pictures of it. Now, Robert the Doll is also one of those. It's not part of the Warren collection, but it's still one of those haunted dolls that you want to believe and you don't want to believe at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, what's their explanation? Like when they say how now we talked about ghosts and people. Now you have an inanimate object that is now haunted for some reason. What is their explanation? Do they say something like residual leftover hateful energy or bad juju?
With the Warrens, they talk about it. So Ed was a demonologist and Lorraine was a clairvoyant. And what he meant by demonologist is he studied through clergy, and he was basically an exorcist, and he knew about demons and that stuff. And
Okay.
she was a clairvoyant, so she was able to feel and understand what these spirits were wanting, or what these demons were wanting. So they would go and do these investigations, and if you read their books and stuff, these things will get you they'll keep you up at night, because they have audio tapes and stuff like that of these incidents. And when you talk about items, objects, there was one where this girl had truly wanted to fall in love. She wanted this man to love her, so she went into the woods and cast this little spell, and this demon offered her, uh it was disguised as a ghost, offered her love. And so she took it, and all of a sudden this man falls in love with her. And through that whole thing, she, with the demon in her, she attacked Ed Warren on stage. And then when they took her in the back, she started discussing what she was doing, and they exorcised her and took this demon out of her. But she was wearing this crown of antlers when she did the initial spell. So they had taken that and they put that in the room. Years later, they had another child in that room who touched those antlers, and that child was then talking about stuff that that girl talked about 10 years prior. And it was like as the demon jumped into that child, and they have audio cassette recordings of this stuff that you can look up, of this child talking, and it'll raise the hair on your back of your neck. It's amazing stuff. Now, do you believe? Do you not believe? I don't know, but take Ed and Lorraine Warren with a little grain of salt. There's skeptics and there's believers, and
Oh
I
yeah.
want to believe. I
Yeah, yeah.
really do.
Oh, that's nice. I think we all do. Everyone wants to believe. Like, I mean, there's plenty of shit that I want to believe in that, I want to believe in more of the realistic science angle. But if you would say to me there's actual proof of ghosts, I'm not going, I told you I'll drink the Kool-Aid. I'll join in. I'll become an expert in trying to figure this out, because now it's like, yeah, you did it. You
Right,
guys all went
cool.
all crazy. Like it's the same thing like you said with extraterrestrials. If that fucking spaceship lands, hovers right over New York City, and like a 500,000 people get pictures, video, edit, like it's gonna be irrefutable. But if it stays the way it does, it's too sparse.
Well, on the Rotten Circus, there is an interview of Clownface with an alien named Fart. We have a very good interview with him.
Oh, I'm
So
sure. An
I,
alien named
like
Fart.
I like that one.
Fart, yeah.
It's really
Oh,
funny. It made me
I heard
laugh.
about that
I told you
interview.
about it.
I
think
heard it stinks.
I showed
Yeah.
him, and I was like, it's hysterical. It's really good. And it's fun to joke and have fun, but I mean, eventually, we're gonna figure it out. I feel bad because I used to want to believe, and my mom was crazy into that crap.
Oh
Like, no
yeah,
matter what
that's
it was,
right.
MUFON, Wiccan, like she
Yeah.
picked the next
Yeah.
thing to believe in, seances, tarot cards, anything, and I felt kind of bad in a lot of ways, because it's like you're searching for answers in the wrong places.
Yeah.
For me, I search in books and in facts and what's provable. Now, there's nothing wrong with it the other way, but like when you just jump from one to the other, it just shows that it's not the individualistic thing, it's the idea of the thing. You know,
Right.
we all want to believe in something that we can't prove.
I think a lot of it also is you get into an echo chamber where the people who believe in that stuff will read the books, and they'll be with friends that are constantly regurgitating and echoing back the same stuff. So it just reinforces it, where they are outside their bubble. They don't know everything with the truth that's happening.
Yeah.
So and I believe a lot of that, and I'm not going to go deep into it, but it's same thing with politics.
Yes.
When you start associating with the same people and you keep regurgitating the same stuff, you believe it. And then when you hear from the other side, you're like, that's a lie. But you know what? Both sides are lying and both sides are bullshit. So
Yes.
that's politics. And
Yeah.
then so when you look at some of these faiths, I believe I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ as my savior. I do. And because of that, I believe in demons. I know there are demons that exist. Do I believe ghosts exist? No. But I truly believe demons exist because it's in the Bible. It's there.
But
Uh
isn't that kind of weird that like the whole story with the ghost where it disguised itself as a ghost? So at that point, are ghosts even real, or ghost demons? If that were the
well,
case, or
no, demons are definitely not ghosts because demons don't have a spirit.
Right,
They
they
are
have a
entities.
soul or whatever the.
They don't have a soul. No, that's the thing. They don't have a soul. They're
Now,
just entities in themselves.
if I refer to it as lore, is that insulting?
No, because that's what it is.
I
Because
mean,
not everybody believes. Not
I
everybody
know.
truly believes.
This is why I'm
So,
trying to tiptoe.
yeah.
I don't want to insult. I mean, even
No,
though
no.
I
If
end up
you
doing
say
it
you
anyway.
don't, it's like, oh, okay. I mean, everybody's entitled, you know. Uh, but I believe there are demons. Now, are we constantly battling them and looking at a demon standing in front of us every day? No. But are they tempting us every day? Yeah.
Well, you see, I kind of think the opposite. I think we are battling demons every day because I've always even said when you raise a child or you're imparting knowledge to youth, you know, the hardest part is that it's easy to do bad things. It's easier. I can easily
Yes.
take this and not pay for it, or I can easily do this, but the consequences are greater. But it's actually harder to be good. It's harder to walk a neutral line. You have to work for it every day, and that's why I always looked at you are battling the demons every day. I think we are the
Yeah.
demons, the good and the bad. We're all capable of both evil and good, and you know, even being neutral these days is considered being bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Oh shit.
What's the squeaking?
A bird.
Oh, you got a bird? Cool.
That is called the Florida crying bird. It is one of the
Oh,
most annoying. Called a limpkin.
A
It's this little
limpkin.
brown bird, looks like a kind of like a cross between an ibis and an egret.
Yeah.
They're fucking annoying. Let me
And
tell you.
they're loud.
And they're
well,
loud, and they only do it at night.
well, I'll tell you what. I've never seen it, so I don't believe you.
Well, yeah. Well, when I make this podcast, I'm gonna put a little stupid picture of the dumbass crying bird.
It could be
Funny,
a smudge or double exposure.
remember what was it? Uh, the Eddie Murphy movie where he went to New York. God damn it.
Harlem Nights.
Yeah. No,
No,
that's
Coming to America.
Coming to
Oh,
America.
Coming to
You know,
America.
when he goes out and he's like, "Good morning, my neighbors." And
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
out of nowhere, he's
Shut
like,
the-
"Shut the
Shut
fuck
the
up!"
fuck
Right?
up. Yes.
Right, fuck you. So
Fuck
one night I'm
you.
out here. I think I'm on like doing something out here. And the bird was going off for literally 2 straight hours. Now, if I close my door, I don't hear it. But when you're out here, it's really loud. All I heard was like 4 apartments down. Some just guy go, "Shut the fuck up, bird." it cracked me up because it's like you can't even sleep with the window open. And we
So
live
it
right
does
on
it
a
at
county.
night.
What's
It's a
that?
bird that it's a bird that does shit at night. That's
Yeah.
rare.
It comes out during the day, but it's more
Oh,
like
man.
dawn to dusk, and it only does these calls late in the day, and it's like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. It's a
Oh,
mating
God.
call.
And
Yeah,
when I
it's
say
fucking
loud, it's
yes,
loud.
really,
How
really
big
loud.
is this bird?
So now that I know it's there, I have to like hover my finger over the button here to make
No,
sure that
they're not that big.
I mute it. No,
What
they're
are they?
not. Like I said, the size of about an ibis or
Yeah.
they look very similar. Curved beak. They're marsh birds.
Yeah.
They're awesome, but annoying. Anyway, so
They're protected too.
I got it. Limpkin.
Yeah. And that they're protected. You know why they're protected? Because if they weren't, everybody would be killing every single one of them.
Yeah. I wonder what I see half the time. I just go, I wonder what they taste like. Like that's my
Really?
I don't want to eat it all the time, but if I had one, I'd be like, let's fry that
You
fucker
know,
up and see what it tastes like.
I'll tell you this one thing I really do remember a lot. Every time I go outside, I see squirrels. I remember that time I came to visit you up in Pennsylvania, and you like pulled the squirrel out of the freezer, and you're like, "Oh, look, I got squirrel to eat later." And I'm just like,
Oh yeah.
"Really?" And that was like one
That
of the
was
first time I ever saw somebody eating a squirrel. I'm like, "Oh,
that
okay."
was
So every time I see a squirrel, I always think about Dave eating the fucking squirrel.
Yeah.
it's funny because I've eaten probably 20 or 30 in my life, but that was the only one I ever killed in Pennsylvania and mess with because you need a lot of them. But yeah, man, you just eat it. It's all good. We're omnivores. We could eat it.
Yeah.
But so we have about like I'd say we have about 7 minutes left.
I see the timer.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
this is good to know. Like I said, just for our listeners, we are experimenting with our Zoom calls here and our recording. No, I'm not ashamed to say that we're still learning. And God,
Yeah.
if I didn't wake up and learn something the next day, then I didn't wake up. So it's okay. I'm not embarrassed by it. But is there anything we wanted to top off? Because we're gonna definitely have you back on and do
All
this
right.
again.
Yeah. I'd be happy to come back. I want to thank you guys. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, no,
no,
thank
this
you.
was
Yeah.
this was fun. It was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. And
I did
I
know
think
that
next time
I wanted to do a little reminiscing because, like, I think Rob, you said middle school. Now, I think I met you in ninth
It
grade,
was high school.
high
Yeah,
school,
ninth
10th
grade.
grade.
Oh, yeah, that's
And
right. Yeah, okay, yeah, ninth
right.
grade.
And I was trying to think. I wasn't trying to prove you wrong,
Ninth
but
grade
you
summer.
know, the memories are very sharp. And we had some really great times as kids. And I have to say that we had a very classically stereotypical upbringing in an interracial neighborhood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
It was a
And
very
there's nothing I never would take back where we went to school and the friends
No.
we had and the things we did and
No
the
way.
experiences and the situations, because I think it well-rounded us as adults a lot better.
I feel sorry for people that don't have that
Yes,
background.
yes, I really
Yeah.
do, because you see where people become so much more intolerant, and it's
Yeah.
not just the people, the culture. You know, because I always look at someone, it doesn't matter the color of your skin, or it's more of your culture, your parents, your
Yeah.
family,
Absolutely.
traditions. And when you get to experience it all, I really think it makes people rounded. And we had some good times in Brentwood, let me tell you.
Yeah.
We did. On that subject, I started thinking about this the other day. Remember when, for our listeners, we were in high school. We used to play D&D together.
Yeah.
Okay. And I read the Expanse book series. I don't know
Oh,
if you've
that
seen
show
that
is
or
so
watched it.
fucking amazing. I
The
never read it.
authors,
Oh my
the
God.
authors based that series off of a D&D campaign they had in college.
Really? A space
Yes, I just
D&D?
learned that. Yes, I just learned
Huh,
that the other day, and
that's
I'm going to look
interesting.
it up. People don't fact check me on this because I'm going to look it up. But this is what I heard, and then
Yeah.
I started thinking, I'm like, my God, if we took our D&D campaign and wrote that into a story, how weird would that be?
Well, I mean, half the books I've read over 80 or 90 Dragonlance books in my day.
Oh yeah, I've read every
And
single one of them.
right, every single one. And that was all based off a D&D game for the most
Yeah,
part, and they just
I actually,
expand it as it goes.
yeah, I just read Dragons of Autumn Twilight like
Oh, that's a
2 weeks
good one.
ago. I had to reread it. I was like, okay, and then
Oh,
as I'm rereading, I'm going, man, I
the
forgot
second book,
about
yeah.
this.
Yeah,
The
that's a good
first one,
one.
Autumn
Was it
Twilight,
Autumn
the
the
first one.
first? I thought Summer was
Yeah.
first.
Summer Flame is the
Either way,
fourth.
good
Yeah,
book series. But yeah,
such a
yeah.
great.
I mean, we had some good times. We really did. I
All right.
still tell the story about the cow. I stole Damon a
Yeah.
cow once. It
Uh-huh.
was a
Yeah.
it was a full size cow. I mean, it was 2 dimensional, but it was full size. Let me tell you.
I
And
think
getting into the back of my car was a pain in the ass.
I remember.
It was the going away party when I left for the
I
military.
don't know who it was that was with me, but we found it somewhere. I'm pretty sure
I
the
believe
statute of
there was.
limitations is up, but I'm gonna not say it. But I
Yeah, I
found it.
believe one of the girls we knew in high school later told me that was my neighbor's cow, and I went, "Oh,
Not anymore. Now it's Damon's cow. And it was a big
I
ass
think it
cow.
was.
I couldn't even
I think it
close
was
the
in North
door. So
Carolina."
we drove like an entire town's worth of distance with like the head of the cow sticking out of the back of the door because I couldn't get it to close. But I was like, I don't care, man. We're getting this shit to him. And I set it up in front of his house. Like, I think,
No, it
and
was
then
in front of your house because I was in your basement for the going away party, and then you came downstairs and said, "Hey, she's outside waiting for you. I want you to meet her."
oh,
And
that's
then at
right.
the time, my ex-wife was there with me, and she's like, "Who?" And you're like, "She's outside." And I'm like, "Okay." We went out there, and there's this giant wooden cow. Yep,
That was
I
a
remember.
rough thing. And then
Yeah,
I had a picture of you with it on one Halloween, and you were wearing your cow costume.
I have that on my Facebook. Yes.
Yeah, do you? That's awesome because I remember that. That was a good one.
Oh no, not with the cow. I've got a
Oh,
picture of me with the cow costume when we went out to eat with Karen and Tori and stuff like that at
yeah.
Bennigan's, I think. But I
No, it was a
don't have the
diner.
picture with. Oh, that was
It,
a diner. Okay.
it was the diner over in I couldn't Bayshore or
Yeah.
something. Bayshore Diner. That's where it was. But
Okay.
again, this
Sunrise
is where
Highway.
like you start to reminisce and like the little tiny parts of the memories are don't matter. The inconsequentials, the semantics. It's
Yeah.
the larger parts of the memories,
Yeah.
that matter. But it's good. This is what I love. We can still, get back together and we can all form new memories and we can talk about new stuff as adults and catch up
Absolutely.
and we are definitely
And
going
it's
to
like
do this again.
with the bond we formed as kids, and I say kids, but we were teenagers. We were like 15, 16 years old. I can
Kids.
still just pick it up after not talking to you guys for years
I
and just
know.
have a conversation as if nothing stopped.
It's
Yeah.
rare, and I wish it was easier and more often with others as it can be with some.
Yeah.
But it's fine. You take every opportunity and you just we need, that's why we called this a lifetime of conversations, because that's what we want to do. I mean, we can disagree, we can argue, but it's still a conversation. You know, so far nobody's gotten up and walked out, so I think we're doing all right.
I want to see if I can get Jingles on here, because like I went like years without talking to him, and then I finally got him on the phone, and we talked as if there was no distance between us.
Wait, I
And
missed,
then
who did you say? I
Jingles,
missed.
Jingles.
Yeah, well, I mean, I spoke about it recently with someone else too, and it is what it is. The invitation has never been closed.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that
I
way.
talked to him a few months ago. He's been crazy busy with the kids.
Yeah, I get it.
In October, I was supposed to go visit him, but my father was sick, and yeah, it was October, November time. And I went up there and I got him on the phone, and I was like, oh my God, I want to come see you, but I never had a chance. But he was telling me about his life, and with taking, he's got all the kids, and then they've got all the different activities that they do. He's a busy man. I can see why he doesn't text back, but he's gotten a family, so those are cute kids. Really cute kids.
That's why you can't hold it against him. He's got 4.5 more kids than I do, so I'm not gonna. Yeah. And I got one more year, and my kid is 18, and I'm like, I fucking did my job, 18 years. You can stay here, but I'm done. Like,
oh, mine is 26, and I still, anything she asks for,
no, absolutely. We always, you always get that, but you know, that kind of threshold, because like, yeah, 0 to 18, that's what you got. So I don't want this. Hold on, I'm sorry not to interrupt. We have a minute and a half left, and I don't want the call to just totally clip us off.
Right.
So I kind of want to end it, but we are definitely going to do this again. And next time we're going to probably be slightly more professional and have this a little more tweaked out and fleshed out for the next time. So,
all right.
But I want to, thank Damon, Mr. Clownface from Rotten Circus. Please go check him out on TikTok. And hopefully his future YouTube channel will be there too as well. And and thanks for coming on. And
I appreciate it. Thank you,
Robert. I'll see you later.
All right.
Stay rotten, my friends.
Oh, stay bloody rotten.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining in for a lifetime of conversations. For anybody who doesn't know, you can check us out at a lifetime of conversations at youtube.com. And we also have a lifetime of conversations at gmail.com if you ever want to contact us. You guys have a great night.
Peace.
Thank you. Appreciate it.